Many years ago, in the University of Lagos, there lived a beautiful young lady named Amara. Amara was the kind of girl who turned heads wherever she went. She was tall, fair-skinned, and very beautiful. As a matter of fact, boys lost sleep over her beauty. But unlike many of her mates, Amara's dream was not to become a doctor or a lawyer. No, her only goal in life was simple: to marry a stinkingly rich man. So while other girls attended lectures and workshops, Amara was jumping from one party to the other, hooking up with married men with swollen stomachs and fat pockets. Her mantra was always, I did not come to this world to suffer. Oh. I, Amara Nwokolo, can never marry a struggling man. God forbid. Her roommates, Chika and Blessing, often tried to make her change her mindset, saying, Amara, why not marry a young man, someone that you would build with? You have a lot of young guys that are asking you out. They are bankers, engineers. Yes, they are just starting their career, but at least they have a future. They have prospects. Why not settle for one of them rather than jumping from one old rich man to the other? Blessing would say, looking very worried. But Amara would simply roll her eyes and laugh and then say, see, me, I did not come to this life to manage you. If the man is not rich, I do not want. I want to be able to have breakfast in Paris, lunch in Italy, and dinner in Ghana, if I so choose. I want to be draped in gold from my wrist to my neck to even my ankles. I want to be smelling money, money. I want to be Madame or Oga's wife. Amara would reply proudly, and her roommate Blessing would just shake her head and say, Amara, one is not everything, oh. Okay, what if this old rich man treats you badly? What will you do? Blessing asked, looking worried. What if he doesn't? What if he is kind to me? And what is the guarantee that the young man you want me to settle down with will not treat me badly? Besides, if my stinkingly rich husband treats me badly, then I'll use his money to pay all these fine small boys that will make me happy. See, I'd rather cry in a Ferrari than laugh on top of an Okada. Amara would reply wickedly. And at this point, her roommate just gave up on her. There was no need trying to convince her otherwise. So things continued like this for a while. By her final year, Amara had dated and dumped several young men who she thought were doing well. Some had bought her an iPhone, someone else had taken her to Ghana for her birthday, but none had the kind of money that Amara was looking for. Then one day, she met Obinna. Obinna was nothing like the men who usually chased her. He was fat, dark, and ugly. As a matter of fact, his face was rough and his stomach was so big. But Obinna had money. His money was smelling. His money was tech money, oil money. He had properties in Dubai, littered everywhere. He spotted Amara one day when he was just relaxing at a restaurant in VI. And then he approached her and they got talking. Initially, Amara did not like him at all. He looked like what her auntie would refer to as an abomination. But when she heard the kind of car that he drove, where he lived, and how much he spent weekly on his dogs alone, almost she was hooked. She was interested. And so they exchanged numbers and they began seeing one another. Their first date was at a nice, cozy restaurant. But Obinna had no manners. He laughed too loudly. He chewed with his mouth wide open. And he was speaking wrong English and grammar. But Amara was not there for grammar or for manners. What she was there was for the money, money, ego. So they continued seeing each other. But by the fourth date, Obinna proposed to Amara with a diamond ring, just like that. No stress. And Amara did not think twice. She accepted on the spot. She was so happy. When she told her friends, Chika screamed at her and said, Amara, you want to marry that one? Amara, fear God now. How can you marry that kind of person? Chika said, looking very worried for her, while her other roommate, Blessing, fell to her knees immediately and begged her, saying, Amara, please don't do this. Marriage is a lifetime commitment. You and I know that this man is not your type. You're simply marrying him for money. Be cool. Blessing said, looking very worried. But Amara simply replied haughtily and said, of course, and you're marrying him for money. Is that one even news? You people do not understand though. Marriage is not about love. Marriage is about strategy. This man that you're seeing like this is my breakthrough. Besides, he's just my ATM. Me, I have plans on how to keep myself happy. His appearance is nothing to write home about. So I have plans of getting good, fresh-looking guys that will take care of me now. You don't trust me. Amara replied proudly, eh? But even though, won't you have to sleep with your husband every night? How can you sleep with this kind of man that you're not even attracted to every single night? Chika asked, looking disgusted. Then Amara laughed and said, of course, I know that I have to sleep with him. But that will not be every time now. To be like once in a month or even in 2 months. And when I have to sleep with him, I would make sure that I am drunk with alcohol. Because me, I cannot stand that man. Oh. He looks like an abomination. I will spend most of my time with young boys my age who will take good care of me. And I'll have enough money to buy as many of them as I want. Amara said proudly. At this point, the whole room went quiet. Then Blessing just said, I fear you, oh, I fear you. So despite all her friends' pleas, Amara still went ahead and got married to Obinna. Just a few months after she graduated from the university. Their wedding was grand. It was really beautiful. Amara looked so beautiful. But then, as she walked down the aisle, she began to realize that she had made a mistake. She could not imagine herself waking up beside this ugly fat man every single day of her life. She could see people staring at her and feeling sorry for her. She knew that some of them were even calling her a gold digger. Meanwhile, Obina stood at the altar smiling widely with his brown teeth showing. Amara felt so bad, but after the wedding was over and they had to go back home in a Ferrari, she forgot all the shame that she felt just a few minutes ago. She became super excited that she had married a billionaire. But when it was time to go to bed and consummate her marriage, she began to fidget. She wondered how she was supposed to sleep with this kind of man. She excused herself and went into the bathroom. She stared at herself in the mirror and started giving herself a pep talk, motivational speech. Amara, you got this. Amara, you can do this. Just close your eyes and imagine that it is Emeka that you're sleeping with. Remember that Obinna promised to buy me a diamond bracelet and take me to Paris for shopping next week. Amara, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Remember that you asked for this. You got this. Chin up. You can do this. Amara said to herself, trying to motivate herself. And when she was done giving herself morale, she went back into the room and fulfilled her marital obligations to her husband. But the days that followed were full of enjoyment for Amara. Amara had so much money. She went for shopping. She was always buying wigs, gold, bags, shoes, just name it. At some point, Amara even got tired of shopping. She had maids at her beck and call. She had a police officer that followed her everywhere she went. She was so happy. She was the real definition of Unye Odogu. But there was only one problem. Her husband could not get enough of her. He wanted her in his bed morning, afternoon, and night. Initially, she tried giving excuses. But what she did not know was that Obinna had seen all types of excuses and knew all the tricks in the playbook. Obinna literally had the solution to all her problems. Anytime she complained of a headache, he would hand over to her a sachet of painkillers. If she complained that she was tired, he would tell her that she did not cook or clean in the house, so she had no business being tired. And when she lied that she was on her period, he would show her the calendar and tell her that her period was not due until the next 1 week. Obina was ready for her. Obina was collecting his marital rights from his wife back to back without any mercy. Amara was frustrated. And to make matters worse, barely 2 months after the wedding, Amara was forced to follow Obinna to the village in Asaba for what he called family cleansing and ancestral approval. She did not want to go, but Obinna insisted. telling her that it was just a tradition that all new wives must engage in. Amara did not suspect anything at all until few days after they settled into the village, when a priest gave her a calabash and did some incantations and gave it to her to drink, saying, "If this woman ever opens her legs for another man while her husband is alive, may her womb be destroyed, may her eyes turn blind, and may her life be cut short like that of an unripe fruit." The herbalist said, and that was when it dawned on Amara that she had been tied. The calabash that she had just drank from was meant to keep her faithful to her husband. If not, she was going to suffer the consequences. Amara was so sad because she knew that she had chained herself to a man that she could never love, not now or in the future. And she definitely knew that it was only death that could set her free. So a few days later, they all went back to Lagos, back to the luxurious lifestyle that she loved. But her peace was gone. At night, she could not even sleep. She began to pray fervently, but not for love or children or God's blessings. Rather, she was praying that her husband should die. "God, please, let this man sleep and not wake up. Please, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot imagine staying with this man all the days of his life. I hate him. I hate myself. Kill him. Kill him. Let me be free. Please, people say you're a God of mercy. Please show me mercy by killing this man." Amara would pray fervently, but every morning, Obina would wake up pale and hearty. He refused to die. Amara was so frustrated. She remembered all the advice that her friends had advised her. She thought she would be able to outsmart Obina, but now she realized that it was foolishness for her to have thought of outsmarting a man that was way older than her. Now, not only could she not cheat, but she fulfilled her marital obligations every single day, sometimes twice a day, except when she was on her period. And not just that, but Obina also made sure that she went with him to every event. He wanted to show her off. She was his trophy wife, his prized possession. Amara became so sad. The money that she had no longer even meant anything to her. Then one day, she missed her period. She began to cry. God, please. I hope it is not what I think it is. I hope it is not pregnancy. God, please. But lo and behold, she ran a test and she was pregnant. Amara spent the next few hours crying. What should be a thing of joy to other married women had become a thing of sorrow to her. So she came up with a plan. She was going to abort the child. And that was how she went ahead and actually aborted the pregnancy. And she did abort two more pregnancies. And by the fourth time, the doctor warned her saying, "Amara, your womb is getting weak. Oh. If you continue like this, you may never be able to carry your own child." The doctor said, looking worried. But Amara stared him in the eyes very excitedly and said, "This is the best news that I have heard in a while. I don't want to ever give birth for that man. You need to see my husband. He's not worth beholding. He's not worth looking at. And I don't want to give birth to a child that will now look like him. Biko, biko, biko," Amara said. So things continued like this for a while. But one day, Amara got the shock of her life. She had just returned home from her usual facial appointment in Lekki when she saw Obina sitting quietly in the parlor. Immediately he saw her, he jumped up and said, "Oh, so you really thought that you were smart, Abby? You thought that I would not find out? Yes, of course, I know that you're a gold digger, and I actually do not mind. But to abort my own children, that is going too far. You think I do not see how you squeeze your face when I touch you? How you're ashamed of going out with me? How the only thing you want to do is to spend my money? I actually do not mind. I don't mind. But you see, to kill my child, that is the height of it. I am done with this marriage. And I will make sure that you do not get a dime from me. You killed my seed. You killed my children, my legacy. You treat me like a curse, like I'm not human. Amara, you disgust me." Obina screamed angrily at his wife. Amara immediately fell to her knees, crying and weeping. Please forgive me. I promise to change. I was only being childish. Now I've learnt my lesson. Please give me another chance. I promise I will change. I will give birth to quadruplets for you if that is what you want. Amara said, crying profusely. But Obina's mind was made up. With which womb? No, no, no. Tell me. With which womb do you want to use and carry quadruplets? The one that you have destroyed. You are completely useless to me now, and I am done. And for your information, all the accounts I opened for you have been shut down. The cars are no longer in your name. The house, nothing is in your name. Your cards have been blocked. You are leaving my house the same way you came. You are leaving with nothing. Obina screamed out angrily. Amara collapsed to the floor, begging and pleading, please, 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 don't do this to me. Where will I go? She said all at once, crying. But Obina did not care. He called his boys and they bundled her out of his home. 2 months later, Amara's life had changed. It had turned around for the worse. She was now living in a small one-room apartment in Ajegunle, sleeping on the mattress on the floor. No maid, no driver, no cars, no police officer. Just heat, mosquitoes, and a rusted fan that made more noise than breeze. Her phone barely rang anymore. No sensible man wanted to marry her, especially after they had heard that she had lost her womb. So Amara was now poor and sold tomatoes at the market. One day, when she was selling at the market in Yaba, she ran into Chika. Chika, her former roommate. Amara, is that really you? What happened? What is it? How can you be selling tomatoes? What happened? Chika asked in shock. Amara was so ashamed of herself, then told Chika all that had happened to her. Chika comforted her before she walked away. That night, Amara stayed awake thinking about her life, how she had been reduced to nothing. And she thought about Chika. Chika looked so good from all that Chika had told her. Chika had gotten married to a young, goal-driven man. And together they had built an empire and they were now very wealthy. She remembered her ex-husband also and realized that he was not even bad to her. Rather, she was the one that was actually unfair to him. She heard that he had even gotten married to another lady that loved him the way he was and that they already had twin babies. Amara was so broken. She had lost a rich husband, she had lost her friends, she had lost her womb, and now she had lost the hope of ever getting children. She wished that she could turn back the hands of time, but it was too late. She laid her bed and she was lying on it. Hi, besties! It's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one as usual. What do you think? Do you think Amara deserved the ending that she got? And also, what do you think of people that marry for money? Like, do you think you can do it? Can you just marry for money? Like the guy is not your spec. He's not your spec at all. He's not the kind of man you would have married on a normal day, but he has money. Just tell me the truth. Can you marry for money? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please support your home girl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories. Bye. Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Ibadan, there lived a young couple named Kunle and Ronke. They were happily married and deeply in love. Kunle was a tall, handsome man who worked at a bank, while Ronke was a beautiful, kind-hearted woman who ran a small catering business from her home. Their home was quite peaceful, and their love was the kind that people admired. Ronke was slim, cheerful, and beautiful. She was the kind of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room. And Kunle, he loved to show his wife off. He would always introduce her to his friends with pride. But everything changed after Ronke gave birth to their second child. Ronke gained a lot of weight after her second pregnancy. Her body was no longer the same. She had gotten so fat. that the one slim figure that Kunle used to brag about had vanished. Ronke had also stopped dressing up like before because all her clothes were no longer her size. So she was now always tying wrapper at home. She was always tired as well. Every time, if she was not cooking, then she was cleaning or breastfeeding and chasing after her older child. She barely had time to take care of herself. Even her hair, she would often tie scarf because there was no time to go to the salon to fix her hair. One morning, when she was trying to get the baby to sleep, her husband, Kunle, walked into the room. He was dressed up for work already and was looking very nice. He stood at the door looking at Ronke with disgust written all over his face. Ronke simply greeted him saying, "Good morning, my love," she said with a big smile on her face. But her husband Kunle did not smile back. He just simply stared at her and then said, "Ronke, is this how you plan to look for the rest of your life? Haba now, you used to be so fine, so hot, so attractive. Now look at you, you have turned into a shadow of yourself. You're always tying wrapper. You look like my mother." Kunle said, looking very upset. Ronke was so hurt by his words. Then she simply replied him sadly and said, "Haba, Kunle, that's not a nice thing to say to someone who just had a baby. I'm trying, I'm doing my best. Please cut me some slack," Ronke said. But Kunle simply shook his head and said, "Well, your best is not good enough. Other women have children too, but they still find time to take care of themselves. Please try and go back to the woman that I married. I don't like the way you look," Kunle said coldly as he walked out and left for work. Ronke sat there in silence. She stared at her baby and tears began streaming down her eyes. And as if the insult from her husband was not enough, her mother-in-law, Iyakunle, still derived pleasure in taunting her over her weight. That same day, she entered Ronke's room uninvited and then looked at Ronke and hissed loudly, saying, Ronke, is this what you have become? Look at your body. You're getting too fat, too. Be careful. Before another woman will just come and snatch your husband because you cannot control what goes into your mouth, Iyakunle said very wickedly. But Ronke simply said nothing. She was tired. But this was the order of the day for Ronke. If it was not her husband that was taunting her about her weight, then it was her mother-in-law. It became so bad that Ronke started hiding inside the toilet to eat in her own house for fear that her mother-in-law would abuse her for eating too much. She was always starting her weight loss journey every single day. Every day was day one of her weight loss journey. She would start off the day eating salads and exercising. Then by afternoon, after breastfeeding her baby a couple of times, she would be so hungry that she would fall off her weight loss journey and go back to eating like a thief. Sometimes she would even download 5 plates of food at one sitting. And so the cycle continued like this for a long time. Ronke always felt very sad that she was failing woefully at her weight loss journey. As a matter of fact, she had started getting depressed about it. She would cry and cry, and at the end of the day, she would still end her tears with a big bowl of ice cream. Months passed, and things did not get any better. As a matter of fact, Kunle's behavior only got worse. He stopped coming back home early. He no longer called Ronke during work hours to check on her like he used to. Instead, he'll be chatting with other ladies. And even when he was at home, he barely spoke to her. He no longer even touched her at night. And each time she tried to touch him or kiss him, he would shift her away like she was disturbing him. Ronke noticed the change quite alright, but she pretended not to. She started trying harder to please her husband. So she would clean the house, making sure that it was super clean. She would also cook his favorite meals. She even went as far as buying new nightwear, just so she could look a little bit more attractive. But nothing worked for her husband. One afternoon, her friend Shade came to visit in her home. Shade was her closest friend. And as soon as Shade sat down, she looked at Ronke and said, Ronke, I saw Kunle, your husband, yesterday. He was at that new lounge beside Heritage Bank with one small girl, Shade said. Ronke simply stared at her, feigning ignorance, and then said, maybe it was just a colleague, maybe they went out for lunch or something like that. Ronke replied, co-worker ko, co-worker ni. That can never be a colleague. Ronke, I'm telling you that this girl was sitting on his lap. Who sits on their colleague's lap? People that I even saw kissing. As a matter of fact, you see how he was using his tongue to brush her teeth. On my shock, oh, Shade said firmly. Then Ronke broke down in tears and began to weep profusely. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. It is because I let myself get fat and unattractive that he's cheating on me. Ronke said as she continued to cry. Ronke, haba, don't say that. You've just had a child. You're a mother. You deserve support, not insult. Your husband is wicked. And please, never blame yourself for your husband's actions. If he cheats, it is because he wants to. It has nothing to do with you. It is because he lacks self control, not because of you. Shade said, trying to comfort her friend. But Ronke did not reply. She just continued to cry and cry. So she waited patiently for Kunle to return back home. And when he came back home that night, smelling of alcohol and a woman's perfume, Ronke quietly served his food and sat down beside him, then said, Kunle, I heard that you've been seeing someone. Ronke said firmly, hey, hey, eh? And so? So you're monitoring me now. Instead of you to use your time to actually do something better, you're keeping tabs on me. Is that it? Kunle replied, no, I am not. I'm just asking, are you seeing somebody or not? Ronke replied firmly. Then Kunle turned to her angrily and said, Ronke, I beg, let us stop pretending. Of course, you and I both know that you are no longer attractive anymore. You have let yourself go. You have become fat. You're always in wrapper and you look older than your age. You're even looking older than me. You're looking like my mother. Please tell me, what man would not get tired? If you were in my shoes, would you not get tired of yourself? Kunle asked angrily, and Ronke could not hold it. She began crying, then said, why are you doing this to me? I gave birth to your child. And that's why I got fat. If I hadn't gotten pregnant, I would never have been fat. You're supposed to stand by me, not make me feel bad. Ronke said, weeping profusely. But Kunle simply replied her and said, nobody sent you to become fat now. That's your business. You're not the first woman to get pregnant or the first woman to give birth to a child. So please fix yourself. I beg, fix yourself. Kunle replied and then walked out angrily. Runke sat there for a long time. She did not move, she did not speak. She just stared at the cold food that was in front of her, tears streaming down her eyes. She had never felt so rejected in her entire life. She had never felt so small. And things continued like this for a while. One day, Ronke stood in front of the mirror one early morning after breastfeeding her baby. And for the first time in months, she stared at herself properly. This time, she did not cry. She did not pity herself. She realized that indeed she had gained a lot of weight. She made up her mind that she was not going to remain like that she would start making better health decisions, not for Kunle, but for herself. So for the first time in over a year, Ronke dressed up to go exercise and she bagged her baby and went for a walk. And after 2 weeks of going for a walk consistently, she joined a women's fitness group in her estate. Some days she would even carry small bottles of water as weights. Other days she would just walk fast until she was sweating enough. She was determined to lose all this weight, not because of what her husband said or because of what her mother-in-law said, but for herself. But when Kunle started noticing all these changes, instead of him to be supportive, he would laugh and laugh and even mock her, saying, all this waka waka you are doing, it's not change anything. No, I give you just 2 weeks, you will fall. Kunle would say, mocking his wife. But Ronke did not stop. She just ignored him and kept on walking. She started eating smaller portions, and every time Kunle mocked her, it only made her more determined. And soon enough, her clothes started sizing her again, and she stopped tying wrapper and started wearing her old clothes. She was gradually regaining her confidence. Then one day, it was her birthday, but her husband did not celebrate her. But her friend Shade took her out to have a good time. So she snapped a picture and then posted it on Facebook. A lot of people kept on dropping comments, especially guys, telling her how beautiful and sexy she was looking. Some were even saying things like, ah, if this woman was my wife, eh? Shade was so happy. She did not even know that she had lost so much weight like that. Kunle saw the post that she had made on Facebook and he became jealous to see that other men were finding his wife attractive. So that night, when he got back home, he looked at his wife again and he realized that truly she had changed. She had lost a lot of weight, and not just that, but she was looking and sounding more confident. Then he stared at her and said, ah, you're really looking nice these days, oh. It's like that your exercise thing is working. Kunle said. But Ronke just turned to him and then said, thank you, Kunle. Then she walked past him as if he did not even exist. But yet, Kunle never apologized for all the hurtful things that he had said and never tried to make amends with her. So things continued like that for a while. Ronke kept up with her exercise and diet routine. So a few months later, and Ronke had even lost so much weight and she began to glow. But something tragic happened. Kunle lost his job. The bank where he worked was downsizing, and he was among the first set of people to be laid off. They did not even give him any notice, any warning. They just sacked him like that. At first, he was not bothered. After all, he believed that he would get a job as soon as possible. But weeks turned into months, and yet no job was forthcoming. So Kunle started staying indoors, watching TV all day, and eating without control. And before he knew what was happening, his shirt started becoming tight and his face started growing round and his belly was getting bigger and bigger. He in turn stopped caring for himself. So one afternoon, he bent down to pick up his phone. Then suddenly he felt a sharp pain at his waist. He shouted, yeah, 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 yeah. Why is my waist hurting me like this? Ah, I'm not old now. I'm not an old man. Kunle said. The Ronke, who was already dressed and looking all hot, to go take a walk, just smiled and said, hey, maybe you should try morning walks. It's like you're gaining some weight. You're getting fat. Ronke said as she walked past him. Then Kunle had to go look at himself in the mirror. And for the first time, he realized that he had become the fat one. He began to notice that their lives had swapped. Ronke was now slim and radiant and feeling all confident, and she now came and went out freely as she had orders of food to deliver. Ronke was always also looking very hot. And to make matters worse, she was no longer even craving for his attention. She no longer even cried. And now, he was now the one that was fat, that always stayed at home 247, and was now the one begging for her attention. So Kunle tried to mend his relationship as quickly as possible. So he started buying flowers and gifts to give his wife Ronke. But Ronke would simply accept it and thank him, but with no form of excitement. Kunle was getting upset and jealous of his wife. Oh, so because she now thinks that she's slim and it's now me that is fat, she now feels that she's too good for me, Abi. I need to come up with a plan. I need to lose weight too. Kunle thought to himself. So then, he began to exercise and eat in small portions. But by evening, he would be so hungry that he would consume a big loaf of bread and a bottle of Coke. And before he knew what was happening, he had started hiding to eat in the car. He realized that he was doing the exact same thing that his wife was doing. Before, it was his wife that was hiding in the toilet to eat. Now he was the one that was hiding in a car to eat. So after 2 months of doing different diets and not seeing any results, he gave up on trying to lose weight. He felt it was pointless. But then he was still very jealous of his wife, that he was now the fat one and she was now the hot and slim one. He did not like how when they went out, men would be looking at her and telling her that she looked so beautiful. Meanwhile, ladies were no longer flocking around him because for one, he was fat and unattractive. And secondly, he was now very broke. So there was no money to even chase the ladies. Since he lost his job, it had been his wife that had been supporting the family financially. So Kunle began thinking of a way to get things back to the way they were before. Since his attempts to lose weight had failed, one day he sat in the parlor thinking of what to do. He could not afford to see his wife looking all hot and beautiful. So he came up with a perfect plan. Hmm, if he cannot beat them, then join them. So since he had failed to lose weight, he needed to make his wife get fat so that she would go back to being fat and unattractive and less confident, and so that men would stop flocking around her. So Kunle started buying all sorts of ice cream and chocolates for her. Initially, Ronke accepted the foods and ate only a little. But then she began to realize that her husband was doing these things intentionally, that her husband was trying to make her get fat. So she started declining the food and the gifts. One evening, Kunle even went as far as buying suya and wine and arranging a table nicely. But when she came home, she just smiled politely and declined the food, saying that she no longer ate junks. Kunle sat alone, embarrassed, and he had no choice, so he had to finish everything that he had bought with his money. He could not allow his money waste. So yet again, he had failed at his attempt to make his wife fat, just the same way he had failed at his attempt to lose weight. So he decided to come up with a better plan. He decided that he was going to get her pregnant. So Kunle began tracking his wife's period and ovulation. So one day, when he knew that she was ovulating, he tried to meet with his wife, and his wife did not resist him. But to his surprise, a few weeks later, and his wife was not vomiting or showing any signs of pregnancy. At this point, Kunle was tired. He was frustrated. But what Kunle did not know was that his wife had done family planning as soon as she started losing weight because she did not want to fall pregnant by mistake. So now, all Kunle's plans had failed. So he completely gave up and decided to try rebuilding their relationship. So one day he looked at his wife and said, "Hey, my baby, I miss you. I miss us. Let us go back to how things used to be." Kunle said very affectionately. But Ronke simply responded and said, "Oh, you mean that you miss the time that I used to cry every night and be begging for your affection, Abi? While you mock me and insult me because I was fat? No, thank you. I will pass. I do not miss those days, and I am never going back to that part of me anymore." Ronke responded nonchalantly. Kunle looked away. He was quiet and broken. The tables had turned, and he knew it. And things continued like this for the next few months. By this time, Ronke was looking so radiant. As a matter of fact, her business was also thriving. She was literally living her best life. Meanwhile, Kunle, on the other hand, remained jobless and had gotten fatter because he was always staying indoors. Even their children began to notice the change and started teasing their father, saying, "Daddy, your tummy is like blom blom, it's like balloon." His little daughter said one day. Kunle tried to laugh it off and pretend like it was a joke. But deep inside, the statement that she had made pained him. He was hurting. Kunle was always sad and broken. But one afternoon, Ronke came back home and met her mother-in-law, Iyakunle, sitting in the parlor looking worried. Then she called out to her and said, "My dear, please help my son. Help your husband, Kunle. He's not himself, oh. He's going into a state of depression because of his joblessness and the fact that he's getting rounder by the second. As a matter of fact, sometimes he cries when you're not around." His mother said, looking very worried. Ronke simply sighed and said, "Eh? He did not support me when I needed him. Oh. Was it not him that was mocking me? Even you said, Mama, did you not join him to mock me?" Ronke said. Then Iyakunle replied and said, I know, but a woman must be forgiving and not be stone-hearted. He's your husband regardless of what he did to you. Please tell him that you are forgiving him and support him and help him lose this weight. Whatever you did to lose your own weight, help him, so that he would also lose his weight and feel a little bit more confident. Iyakunle replied sadly, "But Mama, did you tell him when he was mocking his own wife that he was wrong? Instead, did you not blame me for gaining weight? Oh, so now you suddenly remember that it's good to support one spouse, Abi. Why didn't you give the same advice to your son when the tables were turned? Why didn't you tell him to stand by me? Because I know that, Mama, when you gave birth to him, you also gained some weight. So you that have experienced weight gain due to pregnancy, why did you not advise your son to stand by me?" Oh, so now that it's now his turn that he's fat, I should now be the one that should be the good person to stand by him, Abi? Ronke replied sneeringly, but Iyakunle just apologized, saying that she was sorry. So later that night, Kunle dropped a letter for her that read, Ronke, Ronke, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Please forgive me for all the hurtful things that I said when you were fat. Now that I am fat, I know that it's not easy to lose weight. Except you have been fat, you will not understand that losing weight is hard. Kunle said. Ronke read the letter. She did not say anything, but her heart softened and she forgave her husband for all the hurtful things that he had said and done. So then she initiated talking to him again, and slowly and gently she began to show Kunle how to lose weight. Kunle started following her for her morning walks. Initially, he struggled, but she never laughed at him, she never mocked him, she just encouraged him, just like she had once wished that he would encourage her. So in a short while, Kunle also lost some weight and started looking very fit and healthy. They once again became lovers, and Kunle never took his wife for granted ever again in his life. He remained very faithful to her and did his best to make her happy. Their home was once again filled with laughter, joy, and love. And surprisingly, a few weeks after that, he got a job at the bank. So Kunle was no longer jobless. He was so happy, and they all lived happily ever after. Hi, besties. It's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one as usual. If you were in Ronke's shoes, would you have helped your husband to lose weight after he had body shamed you and even went outside your marriage to sleep with other ladies? Would you have still helped him lose weight? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please support your home girl Omalicha by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories. Bye.